And to America Can We Talk, and to today's First Five. I'm Debbie Georgatos. I have a public service announcement to start this First Five. It's a very short clip I sent to Matt, the wonderful producer, who is, again, extraordinarily wonderful in producing this show from his home while I'm doing the show from my studio at home because of our coronavirus issue. But I sent Matt a clip. It's just a warning about a scam some people in this country are already engaged in. I just want to put it up on the screen. When you see this, remind yourself and tell your friends. Already, some scammers have started the phony IRS calls asking people for their bank account number so they can deposit your $1,200 check. Don't fall for it. Simply unbelievable. And by way of contrast between people like that, I want to start the show by just thanking the astonishing number of people in this country, literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people stepping up to help America in this coronavirus episode we are going through. I'm talking about hospital workers, doctors, nurses, janitors, people working in senior care centers, in assisted living centers, family members. America is stepping up in so many important, wonderful ways. Individuals who just day after day get up, go back to work, go back to their medical practice, go back to the hospitals, all working under obviously tremendously stressful conditions as we're concerned about the contagion of coronavirus and watching people suffer, all the people losing loved ones. I want to just express, kind of support and love and encouragement to people around this country who are dealing with this crisis, and especially people who are working so hard during this crisis to help fellow Americans. Another group that I want to thank in this First Five today in dealing with the coronavirus crisis are the people in the major corporations in this country who are stepping up and helping in some way to deal with the many issues surrounding solving the coronavirus crisis that we're all going through. There was at the White House yesterday, as they have daily now, they have a press conference every day. And at this press conference, President Trump invited people, businesses to come up to the podium and just share a little bit about what they're doing. He invited business leaders up to the press conference, along, of course, with the diminishing number of press who will actually cover President Trump's press conferences related to the virus. But yesterday, President Trump invited numerous people, including the gentleman who's the founder of MyPillow, kind of famous because the commercials on television are all just called MyPillow. That's the name of the company. They make I don't have one, but they make apparently just wonderful pillows. So this gentleman, Mike Lindell, was at the White House. And I want to play the clip of what he had to say at the White House. He was called up to speak after President Trump had finished commending and thanking the various businesses in this country who are doing so much to help, who are really abandoning the means or what they normally do for what they manufacture, their business is, abandoning that in order to help America by producing all sorts of things, masks, ventilators, gowns, glass shields, all sorts of things. I want to just play this clip. It was quite touching. This is Mike Lindell, the founder of MyPillow.
MyPillow is uniquely positioned as a U.S. company that functions as a manufacturer, logistics management distributor, and direct-to-consumer. Given our current business lines, we are experiencing the effects of this pandemic firsthand. But MyPillow is done. We've established an internal task force which is monitoring future needs of companies across the country as a result of this pandemic. And given our position, we've begun to research and develop new protocols to address the current and future needs of U.S. businesses across multiple sectors. We've dedicated 75% of my manufacturing to produce cotton face masks. In 3 days, I was up to 10,000 a day. By Friday, I want to be up to 50,000 a day. Now I wrote something off the cuff, if I can read this. Okay. God gave us grace on November 8, 2016, to change the course we were on. God had been taken out of our schools and lives. A nation had turned its back on God. And I encourage you to use this time at home to get back in the Word, read our Bibles, and spend time with our families. Our president gave us so much hope where just a few short months ago, we had the best economy, the lowest unemployment, and wages going up. It was amazing. With our great president, vice president, and this administration, and all the great people in this country praying daily, we will get through this and get back to a place that's stronger and safer than ever.
Okay, folks, I have to tell you that you think about the kind of remarks you might make or any business owner might make when you know you're on national television, you're invited at the White House, it's a time of crisis. Millions of Americans are watching the press conferences to understand where we are, how we're doing. I really thought that was the most tender and precious choice made by Mike Lindell, the founder of MyPillow, to talk about not just bragging about his company, aren't we great? But he went right on to say all of us need to be at our homes, really supporting this country in prayer. I thought it was it was humble, and it was earnest and sincere and very inspiring to hear someone of his incredible success in that company. Of course, MyPillow is a huge success. Recognize what he thinks is really important, which was more than just how generous his company is being in producing face masks. Other quick tributes to other companies, just to make, and I have a political point about this, but I want to just make a few other tributes to companies. Ford Motor Company, 3M, GE Healthcare are lending their manufacturing engineering expertise to expand their production of needed items. For example, Ford plans to assemble more than 100,000 face shields. You've been noticing now these in grocery stores. Every place you go, there are face shields up so that you're not breathing on the person working and they are not breathing on you. Face shields. Ford plans to assemble more than 100,000 face shields per week and leverage its in-house 3D printing capability to produce other components needed for personal protective equipment. 3M is doubling their global output of N95 respirator masks in response to the coronavirus emergency. Hewlett-Packard utilizing 3D printing to produce equipment including face shields, mask adjusters, and hands-free door openers. MyPillow, we already heard about that, making face masks. We have Facebook, even Facebook, donating their emergency reserve of over 700,000 masks, and they're working to source millions more to donate. Fiat Chrysler, more than 1 million protective face masks a month. I could go on, the list is very long. But the political point I want to make is that the American left spends so much time trying to cultivate in young Americans, in millennials, young Americans, college students, high school students. The left spends so much time trying to cultivate disdain for American businesses, disdain for corporations, especially large corporations. They try to instill suspicion and hatred toward businesses in this country, and with all of the usual leftist Marxist rhetoric about exploitative and all their just, I don't even want to humor them by repeating their language. But the point I'm making is that this is a great opportunity, not just for these businesses to, again, step up and show their value to America. Besides that, they provide the jobs that give people paychecks that put food on their table so they can take care of their families and their lives. These corporations are stepping up in a time of crisis in an extraordinary way. And just as all of us should be grateful and praising and speaking up to commend the doctors and nurses and healthcare workers and every individual involved in helping, we also need to be pointing out to America, especially to the young people lured in by the idiocy of socialism, the idiocy of democratic socialism that Sanders pushes and unfortunately millions of young Americans follow. Look who's actually producing what we need. Look who's making what we need. And the last one point in the first five today, I also sent Matt the Wonderful a picture. And this is, you may recall that President Trump had mentioned he was going to try to get a U.S. Navy ship moved up to the New York harbor so that it could be used because right now in New York City, especially, their crisis is pandemic level. They're very, very, their hospitals are overrun. They have an extraordinary number of cases of coronavirus, some of them very serious. And so the president had announced he would get a U.S. Navy ship, which has the lovely name. It's a hospital ship, the lovely name of the USS Comfort. He would get it to New York Harbor. I contemplated grabbing the clip of Rachel Maddow, the obnoxious left-wing socialist, clueless news show host, where she had said in her show, like last Friday or something very recent, that even though President Trump said we'll get the USS Comfort up there, the U.S. naval ship Comfort up to the New York harbor as soon as we can, and I think he even made allusion to maybe next week, Rachel Maddow, who just never can pass up an opportunity to mock and ridicule and deplore America, freedom, the military, President Trump, conservatism, took a shot, went on and on in her show saying, this will never happen. It will never happen. But okay, I'm imitating her. I just want to show you a picture. This is, I sent to Matt the Wonderful, of indeed that beautiful U.S. Navy ship, the USS Comfort, U.S. Navy ship in the New York harbor, obviously with Lady Liberty celebrating her arrival. So that is it. Okay, that's it on the picture. One last thing I saw, a kind of funny thing to wrap up today's first five. There was a picture of the crowds in New York City who had formed along the shore to kind of wave and welcome this Navy ship. It was kind of funny because the Navy ship's coming there because of the coronavirus problem, and among the people, the things that we're all trying to do, and with respect to our little part in not spreading the coronavirus, is to have maintained social distance. It was kind of, I just honestly thought it was heartwarming, wonderful. The crowds gathered to greet the ship were hardly engaging in social distancing. Some of them had masks on, but they're smiling and waving and just grateful for the military, grateful for that ship arriving, grateful for President Trump and moving so quickly in getting that ship up to the New York harbor and able to actually, as we're saying, it's a hospital ship, take on some of the patients that are overrunning the healthcare system in New York City. And that, my friends, is today's first five.